Happy Wednesday, my friend. It is so good to see you. And I'm really excited that you're here today because we have another great guest on Coffee with Kim that I selfishly am really excited to talk to and dig into this subject a little bit deeper. If you don't already know, today we are talking about all things investing, a sort of investing 101, if you will. So, for those of us out there that are not knees deep in finance day in and day out, or we don't have our CPA certification, we might need a little bit of a tune up when it comes to our personal finances or how we think about it. And why I was so excited to start this conversation today is because I don't know about you, but holy moly, how did we get to June? I don't know. My mind is somewhere between a mid-April to an early May. I don't know how it's June, but here we are, which means we are officially halfway through the year. And I know if you, like me, set big goals for yourself in January, we're around that halfway point where you go, ruh-roh, I might not be hitting those goals, or oops, I really need to put it into overdrive to get myself there. So if you are like me and that might be your case, you might need to think about your money or how you are using it a little bit differently. And that's why I was really excited to dive in about all things investing in finance. But as we all know, it's a super complicated subject. It is not always the easiest thing. So I was like, well, we got to find someone who knows what they're talking about. And lucky for you and me, that certain someone is Brittney Castro. So you might recognize her name from a lot of different places. She has been featured on CNN, CNBC, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the list goes on. And she also has a new LinkedIn learning course, a nano learning course, which is like super fast. It's like LinkedIn learning on steroids that also came out all about personal finance. So I wanted to say a quick hello to David and Ryan and Rebecca and Jeff and Kayvon and Sam. We have a lot of great people in the chat. I will say, if you are new here and saying hello seems intimidating, I promise we don't bite. The chat is fun. It's sort of its own party. I mean, we're having a party here, but the chat is also sort of its own party. So I encourage you to say hello in the chat and join your own party. And if you're listening to this after the fact, just know that you have a little bit of FOMO. And I won't lie to you, there's a little bit of FOMO in the chat. So if you're listening to this while you're washing the dishes or on your run, you missed out, but I'm sorry. You got to join live if you want the good stuff. So please, wherever you are, help me welcome Brittney to join us to talk about all things finance.
Hi, good morning, Kim.
Hey, how are you?
Good. You said the words right out of my mouth for like, how is it June? I don't even I'm like, and I felt the same way the other day. I was like, I feel like I need to do some like goal setting or something for the rest of the year. And oh my gosh, I know it's hilarious, right?
It's sort of intimidating, and also, yet I don't know if anybody else is like that. It's sort of a good kick in the butt.
Yeah.
Like
It
if
is.
you ever waited to the last week to do your homework, like this is that kick in the butt that you need.
Absolutely. You know what I wrote on my little thing today? I was like, start making moves. And then I was like, next week I got to put some time in my calendar just to like review my goals, where I'm at, like kind of get a new game plan again. So
Exactly. You're like, time
perfect.
to boogie.
Yes, for sure.
So, okay, this is what I really want to dig in with you. For someone, aka me, who might just think about the topic of finance or the topic of investing, and their immediate first reaction is kind of like to tune out, or like it's too hard. How do we make it more bite size?
So, it's interesting because even me, I'm going to share something. I've been in finance 15 years. I mean, I'm credentialed, I have the stuff. And when I learn something new, I feel that same thing that a lot of people might feel with investing, like, oh my gosh, there's so much to learn. I feel overwhelmed. How am I ever going to like do this? A perfect example was a few years ago, I started studying crypto because I was like, I have no idea what this crypto thing is, blockchain is. So I think with anything in life, we just have to start small and commit to this progression. versus like 0 to 100 in one day. It's more about, okay, how can I make this more of a lifestyle learning every week? Maybe dedicate 1 hour to learning about your money. And there's obviously each of us is going to have a different area of focus based on where we're at or what our goals are. So for someone, maybe they really want to learn more about investing in the stock market, right? Because there's investing in real estate, there's investing in crypto, but the stock market. So what does that look like? Okay, maybe read a book, watch some YouTube videos, but make it just more like a weekly practice of 1 hour every week. I'm going to just read about stock market, and you might have to read about what a 401k is or the S&P index is like 25 times before it registers and you understand it. And don't be ashamed of that, or don't think, oh my God, I didn't get it the first time, I'm dumb or I'm stupid or I'm never going to get this finance thing. Because I think that's the lie we tell ourselves, like as if someone just is born with more financial education than someone else. It doesn't work that way. It's just some people are more committed to learning about finances and money than others. And I'm just here to tell you, it never ends. So you're never going to run out. So instead of like trying to say you're going to know everything about everything in one day, just say, no, I'm just going to commit to a lifetime of learning and practicing and implementing what I learn and do my best. And I'm going to have to, like we just said, I'm going to have to constantly kind of check in, review, update, say, where am I now based on, the plan I put in place or the goals I have, and adjust, because life continues to go and we just keep going with it and do our best.
I love this point that Giacomo made. And I'm curious with your thoughts. I know you mentioned crypto. Everybody loves the new shiny toy, like crypto, Bitcoin, Bored Apes. I want all this cool stuff. But if someone was entering right now, like they said, okay, Brittney, it's June, I got to make a change. What is something that you would say if they're starting right now in June of 2022? What's something that you think that is a good spot for people anywhere they are in the world? Because by the way, we have worldwide listeners, but where's a good place for people to start? And before you answer that, I will say, I have a feeling you're going to drop some golden gems on us. So I would like to remind everybody that don't stress out about taking notes. Don't like scribble and not pay attention to what Brittney's saying. We will send you notes. So if you go to sendmenotes.com and you sign up, we'll send you the notes. Like sit back, relax, really absorb what Brittney's saying, ask follow-up questions in the chat. Don't like stress out taking notes. I really want you to focus on Brittney's very good answer to this question.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. I would say this is such a good question. Where do you start? Well, with investing, one of the easiest places you can start is with a retirement account. So if you have a retirement account, a 401k, for example, at work, maybe you have a job, they give you a 401k. That is investing in the stock market. I think a lot of people don't realize it is for some reason. So if you have that, make sure you're contributing to the 401k. And it could just be simple as getting a diversified portfolio, and it is easy these days in the sense of oftentimes they'll have a little options and you could say, oh, I'm projected to retire in 2045, and they'll give you a portfolio of different mutual funds that match that risk, appetite you should have for that type of retirement year. So that would be it. Put money into a retirement account and then just get a diversified portfolio. Now, if you're self-employed like me, or maybe don't have a 401k, then that's where you would open up what we call an IRA, which is an individual retirement account, or there's something called solo 401k for, solo owner, self-employed people. Same kind of thing. It gives you some tax advantages with the account. And then you just, again, add money. So open the account, add some money. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. It could actually be, most of the time we could just do it for like $100 every month. So investing is really a lot easier to start than before. And then just get a diversified portfolio and then continue to learn. However, I do want to say, make sure you have some cushion, like money just as like reserves, like a cash account for emergencies or opportunities, because in your financial life, there's going to be ebbs and flows all the time, emergencies, opportunities all the time. And we need just liquid money. That's what we call like an emergency fund or a cash cushion. And that is just like a few months of, you figure it out for yourself. Maybe it's 3 months of your expenses, 6 months. But money in the bank is important when you're investing, because then you could let your investments go for the long term, which is what we want. Think long term with our investments, and not have to tap into it. Like, let's say that your car breaks down. I need money. You don't want to tap into your retirement accounts for those short-term needs. You want to have that money ready to go in your liquid savings accounts to cover that. And your investments are able to do what they do, which is they're going to go up and down. That's kind of how it works. But hopefully, if you're diversified right, they're going to go up over time.
I'm glad that Jeff brought up financial coaches, because I always think coaches are a good idea. I always say if it's good enough for Tom Brady, it's good enough for me. And if he can be the best and have like 10 coaches, then we all can need some coaches. But I know also in the world of the World Wide Web, there are some sinister sources that kind of call themselves financial gurus or call themselves financial coaches. So what should we be looking at, Brittney, if we're interested in financial coaching? What are some things that we should look out for? Are we only looking for people that are certified? And if so, what certifications are that? How can we get smarter about financial coaches?
I think, okay, so in this world of financial coaches or financial planners, I think it is great. Like you said, we all need help, and it doesn't mean you're going to have this person forever. Maybe you just have them for a year to get you like set up and really educate you and like leapfrog you into the next level. I personally would look for the CFP credentials. That's certified financial planner. So a coach in finance, it's good. Like if they don't have like that kind of designation, they might just be helping you with mindset or more like a financial therapist. And maybe that's what you need. But, oftentimes we also need help like actually implementing the advice, right? And a CFP is someone who went and got this extra designation, which is not easy to get. And usually they're looking at it more holistically. And I recommend that if you work with a fee-only certified financial planner, that means they usually just charge you flat fees. There's no income minimum. There's no asset minimum. Like, for example, it's $5,000 for the year, and they're going to help you with XYZ. And if you can pay that, then they can help you, right? So that is a great person to look for, the CFP credentials and a fee-only service model, because then they're not like selling you just products and it's just not one thing. They're looking at things holistically. And, I've been able to help people who've had debt and still hired me to get things set up, and it changed their lives. So, there's never, like, I always want to tell people too, there's never like a good or bad time. It's just whenever you think, okay, I need help and I really need to invest in my financial future, that's when it's time to find somebody, because there's never going to be like this perfect moment where you're like, now's the time. It's like you have to make that decision for yourself. I'm going to put an investment in, and hopefully they're going to teach me, educate me, get me a good strategy that I could set up systems that my money will be, I'll be able to better manage my money moving forward.
I'm so glad you brought up debt, because I think that whether it is student loan debt or whatever type of debt you have, that's a very common thing that people are actively working with. So I'm curious what programs or software you use, or maybe that you recommend that people use to track expenses, project debt payoffs. Like what are some of the programs that you're really loving right now in the software space?
I love Mint. Mint is a good budget app. I think most people would look at it as very user friendly. You set up your budget, you link your account so that you track against the budget. They have this cool feature where you could set up your goals and see the progress for your goals. Some payoff calculators in there. Also too, personally, I also use Excel spreadsheets. I've designed my own Excel spreadsheets over the years, and it's Google Docs, and I update it for my business and personal life, even though I have the app and I also have QuickBooks. For me, that helps me just stay almost like manually connected to my money. I think the whole point of any and there's also debt payoff calculators, just, looking online, you could find some good resources. I would go to like Nerd Wallet is a good resource to find. Well, that's like more than just payoff calculators, but go to a site like that where they just have a lot of financial resources for you. But you know what? One thing my mom always told me was like a good pen and paper also works. And especially with debt or numbers, sometimes like literally writing out, okay, I have an American Express credit card. Here's the balance. Here's the interest rate. Here's the minimum payment. I have this credit card or this one. Sometimes even just manually putting it on a piece of paper is simple and powerful, because then it really connects you and you could see, oh, okay. Or here's how much money I'm bringing in every month, and here's where it goes every month. Here are my expenses. Oh, why am I paying for that expense? What's that about? Or how can I make a little bit more money every month so I have more money to save? I mean, really, I think oftentimes, like even me, we like to overcomplicate things when really it can be simple. And I love my mom, even like a few years ago, she's like, just get out a pen and paper and figure it out. And I was like, oh yeah. Sometimes we like, oh, I got to get the app and do the, and those are good too. But also let's not forget some old school methods that are just as powerful.
And I love that Monique dropped in this one. I don't know what it is. Power Pay. I don't know. Try it. Well, we'll include that link in there too. Who knows? I love Melissa's point that if we wanted to start with those stock investments, I know you had mentioned 401ks before, and Juan was saying, well, aren't 401ks going down in value? Shouldn't we, not look at them? And I want to say, like, how do we think about that first step when there are sort of dual thought processes where one person tells you to do one thing and another person recommends the next? Is that where a financial coach can really kind of help out, or is a 401k regardless a good place to start?
A 401k is a good place regardless to start if you have it available to you, because one of the things too, your employer might be matching your contribution. So let's say you put in 4% and they match 4%. That is like free money coming to you. And also I just want to define the 401k, or he listed another one, our IRA. These are just the accounts. It's not the stock market. Okay. So whatever you decide to invest in within that account is going to determine the volatility of your portfolio. But with stock market, you have to realize if you're diversified, if you're invested wisely, and it's, again, there's a lot of these target portfolios designed for us nowadays, there is going to be volatility. So just know that going in. I don't know why this shocks people. Like, the markets are going down. No, literally, that's what it's supposed to do. It goes up, it goes down, right? And the whole point is, if you hold long term and you're diversified and you have a good, balance of your portfolio, it will go up. That's the reward for taking on the extra risk. If not, none of us would invest in real estate, the stock market, crypto. If there was no reward for this extra risk, we wouldn't do it. But you can't leave your money in a savings account earning less than 1%, and that's no risk, right? And expect to retire or expect to have wealth, because guess what? Inflation is what, 6% now on some things, and your money's not even earning 1%. So we have to take on a little more risk to get the potential higher return. And just once you get it, then you start to see times like right now where the markets are down as buying opportunities. Oh, markets are down. I'm going to buy more because I know at some point it's going to rebound. I don't know when, I don't know how. I'm not going to worry about that. But that's where you become a wise investor. So once you start to learn, that's why we have to commit to learning, because you're training your mind to, well, one, you're going to become educated, and then you're training your mind to think maybe a new way. That's the correct way.
And talk to me a little bit about these personal finance nano tips that you have on LinkedIn Learning. Who should be watching that nano course? Who is that course really perfect for?
Literally everyone. And here's why. Throughout your lifetime, and I know because I've been doing this for 15 years, I have my own experiences, and I've helped thousands of people in their financial lives. So I feel like, kind of blessed because I get to see like the inside of people's finances and like what they're dealing with. It never ends. So whether you're 25, 35, 45, married, divorced, single, remarried, kid, new baby, moved, new job, start a business, close a business, you still have to come back to your budget. You still have to come back to like, oh, let me remember these investing principles, so I'm not going to panic. Oh, life insurance. Oh, there's this new thing called crypto. So the nano tips that I developed were a little bit of all of those things, like the personal finance things. And literally it could help everybody, whether you're just starting out, whether you're experienced, because even when you're experienced, we also have to remember the things that help get us there, right? Like you talked about Tom Brady, he's probably not going to say, well, I don't know football very well, but I already know how to throw the ball. So I'm not going to like care about my form anymore. No, he cares about his form, even though he probably learned that 20 years ago. He's still going to remember, oh, correct form, as he develops more and more skills, right? So with finance too, we still have to remember budget, correct things with budgeting. Even though maybe we've already had 25 million budgets in our lifetime, we still have to come back to the budget. So it never goes away.
You're right. It never goes away. But I think, to Liz's point, there is some truth around there being shame really around personal finance, whether it's not, to your point, thinking, oh, I'm dumb, I can't figure this out, or there's some shame to unpack, whether that's debt or just not feeling like you can manage your books. And so I think you're right. It's really coming to the fact that, hey, it's gonna be here no matter what. Whether we like it or not. You're right. Married, divorced, 2 kids, 1 kid, 0 kids. Like we're kind of stuck with it. So we might as well make lemonade out of lemons, because we got to start dealing with it whether we like it or not.
Yeah, and Liz brings up a great point, because the debt in particular does carry a lot of shame for people. So you're definitely not alone, like at all, and shame can come in many forms, because we have this like illusion that we should know everything about money, even though we've never been taught it in school and no one like gave us an education. All of a sudden we're an adult and we should just know. So I don't know, somehow we like trap ourselves like, no, I should know this. And then the shame comes, or you feel guilty for like not doing certain things in the past. And I've seen shame, whether they have negative like debt, to all the money they could ever need, so it's not, I also don't think there's a like it happens, right? It happens wherever you're at in your financial life. So I think this is so good for you, everyone here, to realize you're not alone, but don't like let yourself default to that, because you really did the best you could. Now maybe you're going to learn new tools or new skills or new strategies to implement to do better. But those things will just weigh you down. It'll keep you stuck. And I think that's the one hard part about money, because it is so like not talked about within circles, that for some reason we think we're the only ones ever experiencing this thing with our money, when in reality everyone else has either experienced it or experiencing it currently and maybe sharing these same exact feelings that you are. So I just say, do your best, like kind of, that's why I say like, view yourself as a work in progress, and just commit to learning, commit to doing as best as you can every day. And that's all you can do. And you know what? I had a video I put out a few weeks ago, and it was about this comparison. Like a lot of times we think, like this question comes up a lot, Brittney, I'm 25, I'm 35, I'm 45. Am I where I'm supposed to be by now? And I say, I don't know. Where are you supposed to be? Because if you know that answer, please tell me, where am I supposed to be? But we do this weird thing. Like they're the same age as me. They have that. I don't have that. Therefore I'm failing, or, and it's a trap. And especially with money, I think like, so what? If you have the house, don't have the house, whatever your path is, just try to focus on your path, and every year make it better. That's all you can do. Literally, that's all you can do, right? Just try to make it better and commit to making it better.
Well, I'm curious for you, as you mentioned earlier, you've seen sort of the inside scoop on thousands of people and their financial books and their back end. You sort of this wealth of knowledge in your mind. So I'm curious, what do you see as the biggest roadblocks that time and time again, whether it's mindset or just mistakes that you see people making constantly when it comes to their personal finances?
One I would say is that avoidance behavior, or making excuses like I'm too busy, I'll deal with it next month. And that could come from many reasons. Maybe you are busy, but you got to make time. Or it could be the shame and fear factor, like, oh, I'm afraid to look because what is it going to say about me? I'm not where I thought I'd be by now, or I'm going to have to like change some things, behaviors, and that's not easy. So I would say that. And I would also just say a lot of times people start like working out, right? There's a commitment, but they don't sustain. They don't sustain the plan. They don't sustain the strategy. They don't update it. And then a year goes by, 2 years go by. They haven't done anything different. So in your financial life, I mean, just look at the past few years, how many changes occurred around us. So whether you were having those personal changes like married, relocation, divorce, new job, whatever, or not, like so much in the world changed. So you have to review, you have to update your strategy. So I think just like sustaining is hard for people. They lose the motivation. So that's why I say like find ways to make it exciting for yourself, or create that discipline for yourself. It could be, like we said, hiring a professional to help you, a CFP. Maybe that's why you pay them, just to keep you accountable. Like literally, right? Maybe you need some discipline to just stay accountable. So you pay that person to keep you accountable. Or maybe you set up systems so you every week you sit down for 2 hours and review your numbers. Like whatever it is, you have to decide to make that commitment for yourself, because no one's going to do it for you.
Oof, no one's going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. What's one thing that you wish that you had known earlier about money?
Mhm. I wish I wasn't so like critical about myself. I think being in finance, I thought like, oh, I got to be perfect and have it all together all the time. In reality, life doesn't work that way, and money doesn't work that way. And I wish I would have just kind of been more, maybe like less structured about like, this is how you got to do it, and just more allowing, like, okay, this is what I'm doing right now, and 5 years from now it's going to completely change. Well, I mean, I didn't realize that, back then, that things completely change. So not get so like serious or stuck in whatever the situation is right now. And so like for me, that means like just having more fun. Like, okay, it's a journey, have more fun with it, because the time is going to go by whether we're enjoying it or not. So don't be so like stressed and serious with money. People are very serious with money. And over the years, I've changed like my own mindset. Like I'm so not serious with money anymore, but it took me to like practice and commit to changing behaviors, changing mindsets. Now I'm sincere with my money. I have a good relation, I take care of things, but I'm not like, oh my God,
Stressed.
the
There's no
world's
stress.
ending.
Well, you're right. Things are always changing, and you have to be ready to be flexible with your mindset as well. And that's why I really love this question that Kim just dropped in the chat, which is, what do you recommend doing about stock options at work? And I'm glad she asked that, because I know we had talked about 401ks at work. And your advice was, obviously, if there is a 401k, by all means, get into it, because your employer could have matching, which you're right, free money. Who doesn't want that? So 401ks are a big yes, a big thumbs up. But what about stock options? If you are at a place like Kim mentions, her daughter is at Walmart, but I know they all also offer stock options for startups as well. And if anybody is a fan of Apple TV and has seen We Crashed, which is the story of WeWork, you can see where stock options went a little awry, where there were some early employees at WeWork thinking they were going to hit it big. And suddenly when that IPO didn't happen, they didn't hit it at all. So what are your thoughts on stock options?
So there's a few different types of stock options. Like in this case with Kim's question, I would say, yeah, I mean, consider buying into it if she can. Because in this case, the one she's talking about, it sounds like she's just getting like the discounted, like she could probably buy the stock of Walmart at a discounted price, which then she owns the stock of Walmart. So it's not like there's some vesting. It's not, there's other stock options where it's like, Kim, if you work here for 5 years, then you'll vest over the 5-year period. So this is I'm going to give you stock of this company that's not public yet. And you're going to hope it goes public because then it's going to be worth a lot. Walmart is not that. They're public. They're trading already on the stock exchange. So buying into something like that, if you believe in Walmart, think it's a good long-term position, then you could just say, yeah, a portion of my money or paycheck I want to put into buying some stock because they're probably giving it to her at a discounted price. But you bring up the good point, because nowadays most of these companies are giving stock options as part of the compensation package, but they're not public yet. So there's the goal that the company is going to be public and these stock options are going to be worth something, but currently they're not worth something. And there's a vesting schedule. So it's usually like 3 or 5 years until you fully own that stock. So if you leave before the 3 or 5 year vesting schedule, technically you're losing out on that money, or like not all of it's coming to you. So that's the kind of the way they handcuff you, right? And people know, I say this in a serious way or a sincere way, because people get stressed out like, oh my God, I have to stay with this company now because what if I leave now, but the stock then goes public, and then they create all this like, oh my God, turmoil for themselves because they're so miserable at the company, or they don't know, so you always just have to kind of assess the entire situation for yourself, especially with stock options these days, because sometimes, like, for example, sometimes it's not worth your mental health to stay at a job that you are miserable at. And literally you need to like move and find another job. Maybe they're going to give you stock options too. So it's not like, you would miss out completely. But I know that's happened recently to a handful of people in my circle. And those stock options were like a heavy decision factor for them. Like, do I leave now? Do I not? So
that's a tough one. No,
yeah.
for sure. And if you want to keep learning about this, I love this point from Giacomo, wanting to know from you, Brittney, what podcasts or books or courses can we add to our sort of Audible wish list to listen to as we enter the last half of 2022? What are some things we should add to our reading or listening list?
Definitely my stuff. So the Nano Learning on LinkedIn is great. I mean, those are like quick little video tips. I think I try to keep everything short and sweet. I also have 2 courses on BrittneyCastro.com. One is just a general money class that teaches personal finance. Like, I basically call it the personal finance class we all should have received growing up. And then one is the investing class. So those are courses you can take, you watch on your own time. There's activities to do. It's great. Some books, if you also go to BrittneyCastro.com and look at the shop page, I have a link to all the financial books on Amazon that I recommend. I think there's a lot. And if you just kind of commit maybe like, I don't know, a few books a year, a book a month, whatever your preference is, that's great too. So, kind of choose. We all have different learning preferences, whether it's podcasts or videos or books. So figure it out for yourself. But I think it's just more of the commitment to doing something weekly. And why I say weekly, because it's more bite size. A lot of times we're like, I'm going to do it at the end of the month. And then the end of the month comes and there's all this pressure to do it, where it's just like weekly, just do a little bit every week. That's it.
Yeah. Are there any podcasts that you listen to every week?
I'm not a podcast person. I mean, I love.
All right.
Yeah, it's so weird. I know I'm bad, but you know what? In finance, if you want to learn more about the stock market stuff, I would say Josh Brown has a great podcast. If you just go on YouTube and search Josh Brown at Ritholtz, they do a lot of commentary about the stock market, but it's so digestible. Like it's so relatable, and they're New York based, so they say it straight. It's fun. So he's a good guy to follow. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. Okay, great. Well, we've reached the speed round part of our little time together, which is always my favorite part, because this is basically where we just blatantly copy your homework. We take everything that you're doing and we cut, copy, paste it and put it into our own lives. So I'm curious, what is the best thing that you have started using lately or doing lately that you just absolutely love? Like you're raving about it to all your friends.
Does it have to be finance related?
It could be anything related.
Well, I'm addicted to salsa right now. I love salsa dancing so much. So I've been this is all I talk about with my friends. It's all I watch on Instagram is salsa dance videos. But I think there's something in it. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to relate this to money. When we do something creative in our lives, for me, it's dance. There is an energy like that we create. It's a joy. There's a happiness. There's a zest. And that kind of energy actually translates to your finances, because then you like deal with work differently. You look at your finances differently because you're doing something so creative. So I have friends who are painters. They paint. I'm a dancer. I have friends who are musicians. I have other friends who love to write, or whatever your hobby or like creative passion is. I think it's so important as an adult not to let those things go away. And if they did go away, bring it back somehow, make a commitment, because it really, I'm telling you, the last 6 months I've committed, this is a personal story. I committed to salsa dancing because I was like, oh man, I miss dancing. So I was like, I got to learn. And I'd go out and my work took off. My bank account took off. My income increased because I wasn't like, I don't know how to say it. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so stressed about money. No, I was just living my life. I was having fun. I was doing something creatively, and I'd bring this energy into my work that was like a magnet, and more stuff kept coming, and it's still coming. So I'm a very holistic thinker of how money and energy and flow and life. And so when you're in that like abundant life force energy, things happen with your money too.
I love it. And if anybody wants to stay in that sort of good energy space, what accounts, they can be humans or they could be brands, and it could be on any social media channel. So it could be Instagram, it could be LinkedIn. But what are some accounts or brands that when they're kind of coming up in your feed, they are bringing you that energy. They are sort of lighting you up. You're like, oh man, I love reading her posts, or I love seeing his video, or this brand's commentary on this subject. Who are some of those accounts or people for you?
Well, I think in like business, I would say like people like Gary Vee are cool because they're just like straight shooters, and like there's some like level of relatability and comedy within the advice. So like Gary Vee is always one that I look for business. I love like a lot of the sarcasm Instagram accounts like that are just kind of like making fun of life, but it's so relatable, because for me, like when I laugh or bring humor into situations, and look, life can be very hard and challenging. I'm not negating that. But when you bring a little lightness to it, then you could be like, oh, okay, it's not so bad, or, find the solutions or opportunities. So I love a lot of those sorts of accounts.
Oh, I love it. Liz also mentioned Planet Money being a good account, and I would second that. I also really love Planet Money. They have some fun ones. And I know Rachel mentioned her money with some lists of podcasts, and then Jeff dropped in your website, which is great. BrittneyCastro.com/discovery, which is also a good resource. So, Brittney, if people want to take a little homework assignment from you this week, so one thing that they should read or do or watch, what would be your one homework assignment that you think all of us should do this week?
I'm going to do it too. One thing we should all do is look at our budget and update it for the next 6 months. Look at our accounts. Where are we at? Like take inventory, right? Of all your finances. What are your debts? What are your savings? What are your investments? What kind of insurance policies you have? What's your budget going on? Look at it. Take a financial inventory. Carve out 1 to 2 hours this week to do a financial inventory, and then review that against the goals and just say, okay, what do I need to do for the next 6 months? Do I need to set up an automatic savings plan into my retirement? Do I need to make a call to get some life insurance quotes? Do I need to like put a debt plan together? 1 to 2 hours. I'm going to do it.
All right. I'm committing to doing it too. We're great. Well, we're all accountability partners now.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's official. Well, where can people keep learning from you? Where do you spend most of your time on the World Wide Web?
Instagram is and TikTok is where I post daily videos. So Brittney Castro. And then of course, just come to BrittneyCastro.com and see all the other goodies I have to offer, free resources. But yeah, I would say Instagram and TikTok, Brittney Castro is great.
Oh, I love it. Brittney, thank you so much for coming to sitting with us, helping to source out our financial questions and our investing big scaries. This was beyond helpful, and I know we all really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. This is so much fun.
Of course. And again, everyone, don't worry. We will send you the notes. You can go to sendmenotes.com and we will send all the notes from today's learnings with Brittney straight to your inbox. Not to worry. But a big thank you to Liz and Jeff and Juan and Rachel and Giacomo and Ashley and Monique and Wendy, Ryan, so many good people joining us live. And if you're listening to this, thanks so much for tuning in. And I will see you all next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place. Thanks so much.
Bye, Kim.